Welcome back. Today, I'm speaking with Victor Fedeli, the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation, and Trade. Minister, manufacturing is the lifeblood of the economy, and we have seen how vulnerable Canada was during the pandemic when we didn't have manufacturing here of gowns, gloves, ventilators. And what are you going to do to bring back manufacturing to make sure that Canada is safe?
Well, great question, Jocelyn. I'm not a very political person, but I will say the previous government for 15 years really gave up on manufacturing. They did everything in their power. In fact, if you read their last economic report, it said 6 times, we really want to move away from manufacturing. We don't believe in that anymore. Sergio Marchionne, the former, when he was alive, of course, was the chairman and president, CEO of Fiat Chrysler, as it was then called, said to the then Premier Wynne, you have made, I'm paraphrasing, you have made Ontario the most expensive jurisdiction in North America in which to do business. So when we got elected, Premier Ford said, here's what we're doing. We're reducing the cost of doing business, and we're going to show people we're open for business. So we have cut the cost of your WSIB premiums by more than 50%. That's a $2.2 billion savings every single year for business. We put in an accelerated capital cost allowance, which means that you can write off your new equipment in year. That's $1 billion a year in savings. Fast forward through about $400 million worth of red tape reductions. Last year, we lowered the cost of industrial and commercial energy rates to 14 and 16%. We also reduced the cost of your local, the provincial share of your local property taxes by $450 million. Add it all together, that's $7 billion in savings every year. That was the start. That was why we saw 300,000 new jobs created in Ontario pre-COVID. And here's an interesting stat, Jocelyn. Today, there are 160,000 more people working in Ontario than there were when COVID began. In fact, 30,000 of them work in manufacturing.
And that is great. We need to bring back manufacturing, and we thank you for your support in that area. Supply chain is an issue that everyone is discussing, from empty shelves to waiting for parts. What can the government do to help shore up our supply chain?
Well, we can start making things here, and that's why we put a $50 million Ontario Together fund out there. It got really gobbled up nicely and very quickly, and we've put a second $50 million out there now. So I'll give you some examples where when COVID first hit, as you correctly said, very, very little, if any, PPE was actually being manufactured in Ontario. We gave up on it and sent it all offshore. Today, 74% of all PPE purchased by the province of Ontario is now made in Canada and predominantly made in Ontario. Ventilator parts, masks, gowns, face shields, the ethyl alcohol for hand sanitizer, the sanitizer itself, the wipes, all being made here in Ontario now to help fill the shelves, at least with the PPE. And we have many other programs now to reshore manufacturing here in Ontario.
And that's all great. Now, speaking of bringing back manufacturing, the Ontario government did assist the Class B manufacturers. Those are the smaller manufacturers that were bearing the brunt of the global adjustment and made it really uncompetitive to operate here. And we really appreciate that. But we're still somewhat uncompetitive in affordable energy. So in about a minute that we have left of this segment, what can you do to help us be more competitive in this area?
So you'll hear more about energy from the Energy Minister, Todd Smith. I'll leave that in his expertise as we continue to do everything we can to reduce the cost of power in Ontario, given the legacy of what we inherited and the contracts that were signed by the previous government. But I will say that our job is to continue to reduce the cost of doing business. We've done it $7 billion already. Every day we have more and more and more plans to reduce the cost of doing business and to increase that $7 billion even higher through reduction of red tape and many other programs, Joss.
Well, all great stuff and all very much needed as we continue to bring manufacturing back.